The Red Zone has hit the road. Grand Oaks High School, the site, as the Cardinals prep for the Stagg Bowl the day before the championship bout. Jeff Thorne, Jim Miller, Clark Teuscher, and Broc Rutter join me on this episode of The Red Zone.
The presenting sponsor of the Red Zone is Athletico, the preferred provider of physical therapy and athletic training for North Central College.
54 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and a Gagliardi finalist, Broc Rutter, the first up on the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Jimmy John's.
With the season coming to a close in Texas, we thought we could count down the top 5 moments of the postseason run throughout the show. Let's start at number 5. Against Delaware Valley, a defense comparable to the fierce Wheaton front, Broc Rutter helps engineer an early lead thanks to this big-time throw to the freshman D'Angelo Hardy. D'Lo has been a breakout star in the playoff run, catching 17 balls for 318 yards and a touchdown combined in wins over Mount Union and Del Valle.
We're here in Texas for the Red Zone. On location, Broc Rutter, the Gagliardi finalist, here joining me on the set, I guess, which is the practice field today. Broc, I know this is a really exciting time for you. Your season really started at the end of last season when you kind of devoted yourself to reforming your body and making sure that you're ready for this year. You added 10 or 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason. Did you feel like when you did that it'd be paying this much dividends at this point in the year?
Yeah, I mean, we just wanted to do whatever we had to do, knowing it was our last year, this senior class, just coming out and doing whatever we could to make sure this season was the best that we could do. And it's paid off so far, but like I said, we're not done yet.
Now, a typical Division III quarterback isn't working out with an NFL player in the offseason. How invaluable is it to be working out with a guy like Cameron Brate, who's an NFL tight end?
Yeah, well, it's funny. In Naperville, there's 4 or 5 Naperville tight ends that are in the NFL, and they're always here in the offseason in the summer, and they need someone to throw to. So it's huge just being able to pick up on the knowledge that they have and be able to throw with them and get some experience with them.
How much does that help? How much does he tell you about just football and about preparing yourself?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he's a really smart guy, and it's just kind of how he sees the game. We always bounce ideas off each other and how he sees it versus how I see it, and we're really able to collaborate and come up with great ways to see the game of football.
All right, now you're a year removed from the end of last season. You're here in Texas for the Stagg Bowl, which is remarkable. You've got 2 straight weeks of chartered flights. You get rolled right up. You had an escort, I believe, the other day.
Oh, yeah.
What is it like getting the primo treatment?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, but it's all part of the experience. So, I mean, we're trying to soak it in and enjoy the moment that we have right here and the opportunity that we've been given. But, I mean, we're here and we're not settling. We're trying to keep moving forward and win ourselves a national championship. So the atmosphere's been sweet, but we got a job to do Friday night.
Now, I know you guys are prepping for the on-the-field product, but a couple of your offensive linemen were prepping for the trip itself with the cowboy hats. Is there a story behind Ricky Sturba and Colton Bachneck with the old yeehaw?
Man, they're goofy guys. The whole line, Gerard even had one on, a cowboy hat. He was laughing, but they're just soaking it up, enjoying the Texas atmosphere and spicing things up with a little fun. That's just the kind of guys that they are.
Who was the best bowler last night?
Oh, I wasn't allowed to bowl, so it would have been me, but I'll tell you who did not impress was Jake Johnson. The other quarterback was probably the worst bowler I've seen. I think we had D'Angelo Hardy beat him left-handed, so he was not very good. Not an impressive performance.
You know, in a week where you're preparing for the Stagg Bowl, it's kind of crazy that you guys get to relax. Tonight you get a Star Wars premiere.
Oh, yeah.
I know some guys, it's a varying level of excitement for that because maybe not so much Star Wars fans, but it's got to be kind of cool to go out and have that experience, right?
Yeah, it's fun to just be able to kind of soak it all in again and be able to enjoy the opportunity and the experience that we've been given, and to be able to go see the Star Wars. Some guys are really thrilled. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but it'll be a cool experience.
That's pretty cool. All right, now the on-the-field product. You guys are practicing today. It's a weird week. You guys shipped out on Tuesday. You're practicing the day before a game. Usually you're doing walkthroughs at this time. Does that throw you through a loop, or are you just so concentrated that it just doesn't matter?
Yeah, I mean, this whole season we've kind of been getting different obstacles thrown at us, and we've responded, and we enjoy all these different obstacles that we're given, and we're just looking forward to it. I mean, when we're on the football field, it's football and everyone's strictly business. So, I mean, it's fun to be out here. It's fun to enjoy the off-the-field experiences we've had, but we're here to be on the field, and we love these opportunities.
Have you pinched yourself yet?
No, not yet. Not yet.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, you think about the journey you guys have taken. We talked about this the other day. You lose to Wheaton, and your season's hanging by a thread for 6 weeks. And you didn't even know after beating Milliken that you'd be in the playoffs, and now you're one of the last 2 teams standing. What is that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We were really nervous 4 or 5 weeks ago, sitting in a meeting room and just hoping our name would pop up. And once our name was popped up, we knew we had a really talented team. We felt that way even after we lost to Wheaton. We felt like we had a really good team, and we just wanted to bounce back from that and keep on getting better. So once we got in the tournament, we were thrilled at the opportunity, and we thought, why not us? Why not us make it down to Texas? And we've done that so far.
By all accounts, the 32nd team to make the field. How confident are you that you'll be the last one in the field?
Yeah, I mean, if we could just go out and play our game and play our style, we feel like no one can beat us in the country. We feel like we're the most talented team in the country. We just got to go on the field and show that, and we've put in the work. We've prepared this week, and we're ready to go show that.
Best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin.
Next up, the head coach that has gotten his team here, Jeff Thorne, joins us on the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Jimmy John's.
Continuing the countdown of top moments, moving to number 4. The opening round win against Wabash wasn't just a single shiny moment for the sophomore running back Ethan Greenfield, it was a collection of them. He put on an absolute show, compiling 301 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. Just a ridiculous show of power and speed.
Welcome here to the Red Zone in Texas for the Stagg Bowl, and head coach of the football team, Jeff Thorne, is joining me. New atmosphere. We've been in the NCTV 17 studios, we've been in the Cardinal room, and now we've taken the show on the road to Texas. How surreal is it to be here in Shenandoah, Texas? This is your last game of the season. It's the last possible game of the season.
Yeah, it's been a lot of activity this week, I guess is the best way to put it. Distractions, things like that. I think our guys have done a great job of staying focused and practicing here at this incredible high school stadium that we got to go take our picture at. It's an absolutely beautiful facility. So it's been exciting. Surreal. Nothing's really set in yet. We're still getting ready to play a football game against a really, really good team in Whitewater. So it's been really kind of difficult to spend much time thinking about all the other things that are going on. We have to be there and do what we have to do, but we're still pretty focused on a football game Friday night.
So we traveled and we met some people on the way here. Cam Martin's family was on the plane with us. A person who actually played with you and for your father was on the plane with us, which was pretty cool. But there were some stories shared, and one of them was that during media day yesterday, the players were doing impressions of you while you were doing an interview. What was that like? Yeah,
I kind of figured after the 3rd or 4th time, I'm like, okay, they're impersonating me. Yeah, okay.
Who was the most convincing one?
Oh, hard to say. I didn't catch all of them. Probably Kaminsky. My family said Kaminsky was probably the most spot on, but I thought they were all pretty good.
That's fantastic. Now, last night, and there's just so much. You mentioned this, distractions, but last night you guys went bowling. Competitive atmosphere, I'm sure. Who was the best bowler?
I wasn't there. Our coaches didn't go.
It's just a player thing?
Yeah, player thing. We were at the hotel working. You got to find time to do what we do throughout the week. We can't come out here and just make it a fun week and all these activities. I mean, we got a football game to play. That's what I said before. So it's been, a challenge to try to find the time necessary to get the work done that we have to get done on a weekly basis. So yeah, the guys had a good time. It was a good event. No idea who won. Don't care.
What matters is tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So, all right, so let's get to UW Whitewater, because this is a team that you're somewhat familiar with in 2010, but obviously very different team. What do they present? What are going to be thrown your way?
Physicality, big, strong. They run well, rally to the football on defense. Offensively, they're going to pound the rock and run the football. That's kind of their tagline, and they do it really, really well and have for years and years and years. So, we're going to have to stop the run, be prepared to defend the pass when they do, and they've got a nice quarterback who moves around and is athletic and has done some really good things in the playoffs. Defensively, just doing what we do on offense and making sure that we stay balanced and running the football. And like I said, just we got to be who we are. It doesn't matter what game it is. We need to be who we are, and that's the goal.
When we talked and when Brock and I talked the other day, the alumni came up almost at the end of every answer because it just seemed like that was the heart and soul of why you guys want to win this game. You want to win it for the players, but for the alumni that came before that, and like what Brock said, they dug the well that you guys are now working out of. Right. They showed up in force when you guys left. I know they're going to be showing up in force here in Texas, which is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. What can you say about just the tremendous support that you guys have had?
Yeah, we talk all the time about being a part of something bigger than yourself, and that's a key ingredient to successful manhood is what we talk about because we're dealing with men. But just as a human being, if you learn how to be a part of something that's bigger than you and you give yourself up for the betterment of something bigger, good things happen. And so our guys understand that this isn't about me. It's about their families, their own families. It's about playing for, we talk all the time about playing for our Creator. For me, that's Jesus. You got to have something in your life that's bigger than you. And this is such great practice for these guys and those alums that poured so much into this program before it became, what it's become. That's meaningful because it means a ton to those guys. They didn't get the same opportunities. They didn't have the same facilities that are present now, and it's because of their work and their support, both coming to games and also financial support. It's not lost on our guys how important that is to, pay those guys back for everything that they've done to get us here.
Excited for tomorrow? You ready?
Very. Yep, we're ready.
Can you visualize you hoisting that trophy above your head?
Yep.
Well, best of luck. I can't wait.
Thanks, Kevin.
He's been around North Central since 1982 in multiple capacities. Jim Miller, the athletic director, joins us next.
Stay up to date on what's happening in our neighborhoods and schools at City Hall and all across town with NCTV 17 News Update. Emailed directly to your inbox once a day, Monday through Friday, this 2-minute video not only tells you the latest news, but shows it to you.
And that's what's happening right here in Naperville.
And the best part, it's free. So sign up today at nctv17.com/subscribe.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Jimmy John's.
We pick up the countdown at number 3 with one of the 2 plays to make the cut from that epic showdown against Mount Union. And how about the one that ended the biggest win in North Central history? Against an elite quarterback and tasked with guarding an NFL-type talent at receiver, Jake Beasley shows what he and the Cardinals are made of, making the game-ending pick to seal the 59-52 win.
Back here in the Red Zone, Athletic Director Jim Miller joining me, and this is really exciting to have you on the show. We don't often get the opportunity, but you have this wealth of knowledge because you've been around not just the school, but around particularly the football team. You played for the team, you've coached for the team, you've seen the progress, which has just exploded in the last 18 years. How crazy is that?
Well, it's crazy in the respect of how things have evolved and how, and that is part of life, and you hope for that, but especially in a sport like football where it has such exposure when you do well. And ironically, we were just talking about how we haven't always been there. My freshman year at North Central College as a football player was 1982. Well, that year we only lost one game. And we were 7-1-1. We lost to Augustana, went on to take second in the country. And so that year I felt like, well, we lost one game, but then only 8 teams made the NCAA playoffs. And so we were in the top 10 in the final category, but we didn't get selected because we were in the top 8. And so automatic bids weren't part of the equation. So that was back in 1982. So I just figured that's the way it's going to be here at North Central. And then we didn't have that happen. And then we ran into some rough stretches, but I had an opportunity to be around the program with Coach Crumoff at the time, but then Coach Connor, and I coached with him for 8 years, and then Bill Mack for 5, and Joe DeGeorge for 4, and then 2 years with John Thorne. And when John Thorne and Jeff has been part of it the whole time, and then when they came in 18 years ago and started in '02. We were 6-4, I think, the first year, and then 7-3 or so. And so we slowly, you could see the building. And so I remember Coach John Thorne saying, 8 would be great, but 9 would be divine. 7 would be heaven, just to get 7 wins, because we hadn't done that, and so on. So to get to the point where we made the semifinals in 13, but then fell a game short to Mount Union, and a storied in 2010 we played Whitewater, and we lost when we were ahead in the fourth quarter 10-6, and so on. So to get here today, to stand here in Texas, it's a thrill, and mainly for the college and for people, for everyone. And I really do believe this. I really believe we've all played a part. Well, I've got a chance to see things evolve now, going on 38 years. There's so many people, from our presidents to our cabinet. I know Rick Spencer's been here the whole time since '81, and we remember. But to see how everyone's come along the way, and it's just I'm just so happy for the college. I'm happy for the people that were building blocks along the way, and the current people. And it's a special team. It's a great ride. You think about, you got a national championship with 2 at-large Pool C bid teams.
It really is. It's a long shot to have this happen this year with 2 at-large bids. But I want to get your perspective, because you have a unique perspective on this. And I certainly don't want to take anything away from the coaches that came before the Thorns. But what is it about John and Jeff Thorne that allowed this program to pivot and become, and I think we can now say this, a national powerhouse?
Well, we're there in that conversation in the top 5. And if you ask me that directly, every coach I've been around, they had an extremely fantastic work ethic, ethics, hardworking, good men, good people, cared so much about the success, and yet we didn't have the things in place that you really need, and we didn't know exactly how to get there, and then other teams were really way ahead of us. So obviously it starts with recruiting and personnel and consistency, and so we've had a core of people together. Now that, so when John took over, the thing that really struck me as so different is that, and this really is the key, John and then Jeff, as the offensive coordinator the entire time, they would change a game plan based on who they're playing, every single thing. So if we had personnel to run the ball, but that defense wouldn't allow us to do it, we'd throw it, then run it. If we weren't just going to sit in one offense, that's what we do. And they would change the defense based on what we had to play. So they're constantly being creative and having to game plan every single week.
So adaptability is what I get from you.
Absolutely.
But then also longevity, because you talk about, it seems like nowadays coaches have hot seats almost immediately when they start losing. And Jeff Thorne came in that first year, and there was a couple tough losses, but there was no shaking of the confidence in his ability to lead this team. And now 5 years later, look where he's brought this program. Can you talk about kind of the ability to stick with it and remain confident in the course that was being taken?
Right. Well, when you have the right people and the right coaches and everything, you're going to have to, we're human, and you're going to have to go through the ups and downs. And we had lost, we've never been blown out really, like in the conference or this or that. You look, no one would dream we'd win 11 of 13 conference titles. No one. And yet we have. And so you've got the people in place, and sometimes, games happen and things happen, but you look at our conference record within, it's really been dominant outside of us being 50-50 with Wheaton. Other than that, I mean, it's been unbelievable. So we know we got the right people. You got to be patient with them, and football is unforgiving, because you either win or you lose, and you only get one chance. Unlike, let's say, a baseball doubleheader.
Right.
You lose a heartbreaker in baseball, you're playing 40 games. I'll see you in 15.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's play again.
Yeah. I'm going to grab a sandwich. We'll see you right back on the field.
And then you win that game, and you're going home, and the next day you play the third game, and now you win 2 out of 3, and that's what you do.
Right.
Football, you get to play Saturday, and that's it, and we don't get a chance to talk again to the next Saturday.
Right.
And everybody has an opinion.
And on top of that, especially in today's landscape, you lose more than one game, your season's over.
Well, that's absolutely true, and we have been playing against the really playoff football since that game against Wheaton, which we lost that game. We know we're right there. We're ahead in the fourth quarter, but they made a couple of big plays, and we didn't, and that's what happened. And yet we've had to win every single game since that point, without exception. We had to win every game. And you could say you either can really self-implode and have so much pressure on you, or you can embrace it and just say, hey, that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do it, and just continue on. And that's our attitude. It's like, okay, don't look too far ahead because tomorrow may not be there.
Right.
Just worry about right now. This is the game we have to do. But then you see, like Mountain Union, what their offense, their assistant AD, and even what their coaches were saying. We've not seen an offense like this in a number of years. What we have going right now for this year's team, they just haven't seen an offense like this. And they haven't. You look at the points that we're putting up, and the stats are really, are just incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I love the insight. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a pleasure,
welcome.
And congratulations for you.
Thank you.
The credit belongs with the athletic department supporting these guys, and that certainly falls on you. So nice job. Congratulations, and enjoy tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're going to finish it one more time.
Got to win one more game.
Yeah.
Just because we're in Texas doesn't mean we can break tradition. Clark Teuscher rounds out the show.
In Naperville, we know that community counts. In fact, it's in our name. As Naperville Community Television, we have the privilege of showcasing what makes this award-winning city a wonderful place to raise a family, to make a living, and to enjoy life's journey. That's why it's our mission to capture on camera those special moments that connect us, those stories that impact our lives, stories you won't see anywhere else. So watch Naperville Community Television on air, online, and on social media.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Jimmy John's.
Let's get our second top play, which came from the semifinal game in rainy Allentown, Pennsylvania. Right after the Cardinal offense coughed up the ball to open up the game, this unlikely hero stepped up with a big defensive play. Julian Bell, who has flashed big playmaking abilities all season long, nabs the interception and then turns upfield to put North Central in prime position. The play proves to be a catalyst for a 35-0 NCC run.
And we may have changed location, but as always, Clark Teuscher here to round out the Red Zone. And what an exciting time to be a Cardinal, to be a fan of the North Central football team. And I'm sure it's both an exciting time and an exhausting time to be the sports information director. You guys have just been swamped with media requests and media, and I've been asking so much of you, and I've always been a pest. What has it been like for you to have to kind of be the middleman and do all these things this past few weeks?
It's the best headache you can possibly have. It's a great reason to have those kinds of things happen, and it's really been, I think the phrase to be a Cardinal probably is the best way to describe all of that, because really the entire campus, the entire community, the entire alumni base has all come together, and it's really kind of been inspiring to see. There's been a lot of meetings even after we left to come down here Tuesday night. There were meetings to get things squared away for students to come down, the band to come down, cheerleaders to come down, getting watch parties scheduled at different places in Naperville for people who can't make the trip, making sure that people are keeping up on all the different things that this team's being asked to do. It's a full week of activity down here, football and otherwise. So. And you're right. There's a lot of media. Once you get ESPN involved, as we talked about last week, they ask for lots of things, and it's because they do lots of stuff with that information. Right. The local media turned out yesterday. We had a media availability in the area. They had a lot of great questions, got a lot of great content. The NCAA is getting some of their own stuff that's going to go out on their own social media. The players could not have responded better to all of this. That's always one of the worries that you have. You don't want to be too intrusive and allow them to focus on the reason they came down here, which is to compete for a national championship. And they've so far this week they have done that, and they've been engaging with members of the media. They've given thoughtful answers, and when they've been asked to do some of the lighter stuff, they've come through with great ideas of their own to do some of those things. So yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, I think, for everybody that's down here, and for people on campus that are helping us coordinate a lot of this stuff. But it's really been an inspiring thing to see everybody really come together in support of a single goal like this.
The swell that has been seemingly building over the last few days, it went from 1 watch party to 2 watch parties to 3 watch parties, and it just seems like the interest, because it's always there in Naperville, but it seems like the community is rallying around this team. How do you try and capitalize on that momentum and really thrust North Central, not just the football team, but the college, the institution, into the spotlight and say, this is us, this is what we represent?
Well, it starts a few weeks in advance. Once the Mount Union game happened, we realized that this was a legitimate possibility. Not that it wasn't before that, but at that point it was like, okay, well, we need to get serious about this. So plans started coming together, all kinds of contingencies and things, that understanding that we might not get to use those things. And really just having the discussions with people, getting people like NCTV prepped for any additional travel or resources that might need to be put together, and then just really staying abreast of all that as things happen, so you're prepared to respond. Once you have a semifinal victory like we had last week, we're able to put things in place, and it's not it's going to be enough of a rush anyway. But to be able to cut down on that and really be organized in how you do all that, and part of that swell, that's part of our goal as marketers and promoters of this department and this program, is to take events like that and really help people get behind it and understand that it's a big deal, and get people excited about it. And I think we've seen that, and we've been trying to build upon that as the week's gone on, to the point where everybody's fired up and ready to do this thing on Friday night. So we're definitely, it's a product that we had hoped would come to fruition, but we can't do that if people don't respond. So we're definitely glad to see that.
Just for the record, any contingency plan that involves me flying to warmer weather in December, I am all for.
I think that was the general consensus. So they could apologize to us when we got here because the temperature dropped 20 degrees or whatever the day before, and we had to impress upon them that really it's no big deal.
It's okay.
Like we're not bundled up and slipping on ice or anything like that. So it's definitely been a welcome change of pace on that respect as well.
Now, one of the last things I wanted to talk to you about is engagement in a different sense, because one of the things you can actually quantify is on Twitter engagements and Instagram. And I'm a passive watcher of kind of some of those numbers. I know you get a more intuitive look into those, but it seems like those have exploded. And I know you guys have gotten feedback from alum, from fans, from community members that are really enjoying the content.
Yeah, actually, we've been, tracking that as it's gone on, tracking, where the media placements are happening, how certain content is doing on different platforms. Over the first, 2 weeks of December, our website traffic to northcentralcardinals.com is up over 300% from the previous year. So what was already a very good year for us in terms of web traffic and engagement and media placements has really turned into a banner year in that respect. So, we definitely, we can tell without the analytics whether it's being a success or not based on the things that we're hearing, but to have that backed up in that sense and seeing the kind of publicity value, what it would cost to get that kind of publicity in a monetary sense is something that we really measure a lot. And that's well into the millions at this point. So, and we haven't even gotten to the game yet.
Exactly.
So we know that the best is yet to come even then. So that's definitely been very encouraging, and we've been really proud to see the response that we thought we would get from the North Central community.
Well, congratulations on not just the hard work that you put in, but having that payoff. And I mean, I feel like you've satisfied the Naperville community and then some, because it's been really phenomenal. So nice job.
It's been our pleasure.
Thank you, Clark, for joining us.
Thank you.
All year, 15 weeks.
Yep.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Jimmy John's.
Last but absolutely not least is the play that caught the country's collective eye. Trailing national powerhouse Mount Union, Broc Rutter finds Andrew Kaminsky for the 4th time in the end zone to claim a lead they would never give away. The duo exploding in the game, setting program records and even landing in the SportsCenter top 10 for a second time in 2019. It led to North Central's upset win over the top-ranked team in the country.
That's it for this episode of the Red Zone. The Stagg Bowl comes your way tomorrow night, 7 o'clock kickoff. Cardinals could win their first championship in program history. Until next time, I'm Kevin Jackman, and this has been the Red Zone.